something?
Are we still looking
We're
for?
good.
We're good. Okay.
So the ones that we needed, if I just think through, so we don't need anything until session 2. Candace has 1 with her technology. Session 3, we have 2, 1 for Bruce, 1 for Kelly. Next day, we have 3, I think, quick ones for Krista, session 4. There's 3 quick ones for Adam, session 5. Tracy's got 2, a title slide and a detail slide for her funding announcement. And then there's none for the last session. And that's all of them.
Okay.
Okay, so Josh, I have a question. What we want, and we're all on this same thing right now, and I get that. What I wanted to try to do was to see if I could make Greta an audience member watching this, and then have Susan and Katie be our panelist, moderator, guinea pigs, and figure out if there was a way for me to still be in this group so that I could private message the panelists, the moderators, as I'm getting text messages from Greta.
Sure. So
I don't know how we do that.
Yeah. So, the platform itself. So this is the backstage, obviously the audience. So the window that you're seeing now with all 5 of us, that view, that is what is being sent to the live stream window on the website.
What we see right now, the 5 of us.
Exactly. Yep. So that's what I always tell people. If you see yourself on that, then you know that you're live.
Okay. So this light colored blue is our live window. Now, is there a way for me to not be seen, but...
Bye, Corey.
Okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, though. So can you do that again, Josh? Do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let me put everyone backstage just for a second so you can see what that is. You'll see you see your camera window on the left. You'll see that'll go black and white. You'll see it'll say off air. That means you are on the call. You're still on the call. You're in backstage, but you're not in the stream at all, right? So you can leave your camera mic on. They won't be able to hear you, but you can still communicate over that private chat. And so the private chat is really for people to communicate. And if you see the chat window on the right, you'll see I just typed audience questions go here. That's where we'll be copying any questions that come in on the live stream and put it there, just to keep those 2 things separate. So the moderators can look there for audience questions, and then the private chat is more of that backstage question.
But once we're live, though, that's being sent to the audience. There's no opportunity for us to talk amongst ourselves before the audience starts seeing it.
Yep, just like a Zoom call, there's not like there's not like a separate room to go to in a sense. Yeah.
Okay.
So that private chat's very important for that.
So let me ask you this then, Josh. So when we're showing the video that Greta and I did for the opening remarks, so let's say I'm Doug, ready to speak next, right? So what am I seeing? Am I in this room and seeing myself in the panel on the left, and then I'm seeing the video play in this live area?
Here, let me show you really quick. So obviously I'll be in. I'm going to turn my mic on just so you can hear me. So, we'll have the main graphic, and then the video will play.
Good morning, and welcome to Accelerating Healthcare Innovation in North Carolina, Charting the Course. I'm Corey Curtis, Executive Director of the Greater Charlotte region and a member of the Biotech Center statewide team.
And I'm...
So And then I stop the video, and you can see that you come right up.
Okay.
So after that, after your introduction of him, then he'll be live.
Okay.
So that's the important thing is if you see yourself on that main window, that means you're live and the audience can see you.
Okay. So can we bring the rest of the team back then?
Yeah, absolutely.
So 2 questions. So one is, if I'm on the chat, so I'm in the audience and I'm adding some things to the chat. When you're copying and pasting, will it show in that chat to the right if something is from me?
So I'm not quite sure what you're asking. So if the
if I type in a link to something and call people's attention to something,
where
or
on the
ask a
website,
question, when you
type
do
it in.
your copying and when
Type
you
it
do
in.
your copy and pasting, does it just collect what the question is and not say, like, so the people?
It's not an automatic process. It's a manual. Like, we are looking for the chat for
Yeah.
specific
So
questions.
Josh, what we're asking is, if an audience member puts in a question, is the audience member identified when you cut and paste that? Does their name come with it?
Okay, gotcha. That is a good question. I believe the answer is yes. Yeah, it should say the question, or and then who asked it. I believe so. I'm sorry. I'm not 100% sure on that.
We were trying to figure out some way to have a code there. So as Greta put that stuff in the chat, if there was, say she dumped something in the chat and then she texts me and says, make sure, this moderator directs people to that, then I could put it in the private chat and say, so-and-so, am I going to be able to do that though? If I'm not part of the live stream, can I still access the private chat?
No.
Ugh.
The private chat is for people on the live stream. Yeah.
So that won't work. That won't work, Greta.
The audience will never ever see anything on the private chat. That's just inside this platform.
So if Corey is in the waiting room,
there's not a waiting
he's
room.
on.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I'm saying, like, during the day, if she was on the platform like we are now, but she wasn't live, you stuck her in the waiting room.
You mean backstage?
Would she be able to private chat?
Yes, like you were just doing, right? So Corey right now, she can put messages in the private chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I was testing it to type it. So.
Yeah. So that private chat is for anybody that's on this call. And yeah, like I said, you're welcome to be on the call. The only limit we'll hit is if we hit 10 people.
I don't think we've got that much on any of these, do we, Greta?
No, but it's just a question of, if people try to sign on from one session, so you've got people on for a current session, because there's a little bit of overlap, and then you get people from the next session trying to get on that they might not be able to because there might not be enough seats.
Exactly. Right. That would be the only concern if that ends up being.
But Greta, I don't see that being an issue, because when we finish, like, if you get through the the welcome stuff and the keynote, and then we've got the break in there before the next group starts, right? Or, well, we've got a break and then a vignette before the next group starts, and then when that group finishes, there's a break, and then a vignette, and then the next group starts. And then Friday, again, the opening stuff is about the same. Then we go into the session, and then there's a break, a vignette. I just don't, there's overlap, but there's overlap with video and panels, not panels back to back.
So I'm looking at my calendar invitations, and it's more like the keynote and that first speaker in the first session where there's the biggest overlap.
Yeah, but you're not going to hit 10 people there, so that's not an issue.
Yeah, because the first
Right.
the microsprint session is just Devin, and then I'm piping in everyone else actually on a Zoom call. So technically we'll only have myself, Devin, and the keynote, and then any of you who want to be on it. So we should have plenty of. So, and obviously, if we do run into a situation where we have back to back panels, just like Corey said, there is a break and a video in between those. It will tell them that the room is full, and we'll get notified that someone's waiting, and so we can. They'll if they're joining too early, they'll just have to wait a little bit, or if we need to, we can. Because as soon as the other panel ends, right? Like let's say transitioning from session 2 to session 3, once that panel ends, we'll remove people, if they don't leave, to make room for the next group.
Yeah, and between that session 2, there's the break. So there won't be anybody on during that 10-minute break. You'll be showing the video or the slides or whatever we're doing, right? And then it rolls into the vignette.
Right.
And then we have session 3. So I think you're going to be okay. Because I
Yeah,
think,
that's what
so Josh, part of the concern is that Greta and I padded that a little bit so people weren't late, right? So we had them, we want them to log on a little bit earlier and make sure that they're in teed up. So, but I think that the way we've structured this, we already thought of that, but we've probably just forgotten, Greta, because that's the honest truth.
Do you know about, what did you tell people as far as when to arrive? About like 10, 15 minutes earlier?
It was about that, yeah. So like the people who, like Andy, who's starting at 11:30, I said be on at 11:15. The keynote, I think I also said be on at 11:15. Let's see. I can look here and tell you quick.
Yeah, and I would say, and that's what we've experienced. It's usually not an issue, especially since we have that break and the video buffer in there. I have run these where people show up, an hour and a half earlier, whatever, because they want to watch the session, but they want to watch it from the backstage area, and that's just like, I'm sorry, you can't. So, but they can come in backstage, and I can communicate. If I see someone from like session, the next day or something, I can just say, hey, you'll have to watch it on platform, kind of thing.
And anybody that comes in the middle of a session, and again, I think we've built in the buffer to avoid that, but should they do that and they come in the middle of the session, you take them backstage anyway, right? They're not part of that live stream.
Yeah, one of the great things about this is really a production-focused software as opposed to Zoom. So when someone joins, they immediately go backstage. They don't like just jump into the call. So I have to manually put them on stage in a sense. So
Greta, that's part of what we talked about with doing our recording, great, ready to go. And then when it rolls into Doug, he's backstage and Billy Cohn's backstage, right? At whatever point he joins at that juncture. And then Josh has the ability to move him in and out and all that. Okay.
Exactly.
So I guess one of the other things that and I'm happy to stay silent and observe and do these notes. And Greta, if once we test this, if I don't know that it's coming from you, do a chat, do something in the chat that posts something and then text me. And then if I can see it that it's you don't need to text me anymore. I can be like, okay, good. Or if there's something you don't want to put in the chat, again, you can just text me and we'll make sure that gets into the private chat for the group. I think my biggest concern, Josh, is the time, right? So if the panelists are in there and I don't have a way, I could chat with them, but they have to read that in order to know that. So our thought was, I thought it was going to be great if I was like backstage. So I was grayed out in this screen. I'm not in the live piece, but the participants that were in the panel could see me on the side. I could hold up a sign that said like 2 minutes or stop talking, your session's over, something like that. So any advice and guidance on how we, how do we give people the hook if we need to?
I mean, and you'll see, I don't know if you see that private chat pop up for you or not. So that's kind of that's the way to do it. I mean, there's just not a way to have a whole nother stream going that's like the backstage stream, and that would honestly probably get really confusing for the people on the call. But yeah, that private chat's really our best option. And like I said, when those when you type something or I type something, that
It
kind of pops
pops.
up. And so
I didn't know that, so that's why we're
sure,
doing
yeah,
this.
yeah,
That helps.
yeah,
Because
So
if they're
are you
actually
going to
it's
do it,
actively
Josh?
sign like what's that?
So are you going to do that then, or do we need Corey to do that to indicate to them, like, what those last couple minutes when that time arrives?
I mean, if you're able to, I mean, I'll try to give people cues and everything, but
Yeah, Josh, because what I don't want to
yeah,
do is jam up your system too. So if you've got a flow that when you do this all the time and you're looking at the calendar or the schedule and you're like, oh, okay, so at 12:15 this is over. So at 12:13 I tell everybody, hey, heads up, 2 minutes.
yeah, I can. Yeah, I can if you want. It really depends on the conference. Some people don't want. It depends on how much you want to keep people on schedule. I guess. So,
They have to stay on schedule because there's
yeah,
too much stuff. And then we've got all these other people logging in, so we don't want to get off track.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
So yeah, we're going to be strict about the time.
yeah, I mean, if you've got one of your staff back here and can do that, that is super helpful. But if you need me to do it, I can.
Okay, so and Greta, it's up to you how you want to handle all this stuff. I just feel like there needs to be somebody from the biotech center team working hand in hand with Josh so that we don't miss an opportunity or, we can keep these folks on track. So you just if you want me to do I could still watch it. It doesn't make any difference. So I'm going to see
I
everything the
think we
audience
just need a
sees.
set plan. So
I
to
would. I
either
mean,
say you'll do it or Josh.
yeah, I would recommend it. I mean, but well, let's set that aside for a second. I would recommend at least one person, probably just one, so we don't have the room too full, to be on the call but be backstage just to communicate with speakers. There'd be things that you want to communicate that I am unaware of. Um, I don't
So
know. Maybe
Greta,
you or anything.
that's up to Greta, that's up to you, however you want to handle that. Now, Josh, when we're in this and you've got this side panel where you're cutting and pasting the chat from the audience,
Mm-hmm.
can we write in this or no?
Not in the side panel.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, only I can. So that's kind of why I have that separate, so that people know that that's the audience. Now the audience
Right.
doesn't see that either, but
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So I guess a couple things. If I'm doing things in the chat, like the audience chat, and there are things that I want to make sure get passed on, what I can do before my chat messages is put like 2 stars. If there's
So
something that I want to.
can I ask you about that? So you want to try to communicate to Corey through the audience chat? Like you want the
Well,
audience to see your.
if there's something that maybe should go to the panel, like I doubt it's going to happen, but I'm just saying that'll give me like another way for something that I'm putting in the chat. If it's something that I want you guys to see, I can easily text her if I need her to tell the panel something. I could just
I
send
would
a
just
text
say,
and she can add
if
it to
you're
the
putting
private
it,
chat.
yeah, if you put it in the audience chat, then the whole audience will see it. So I don't know if that's the most appropriate place to put, like, hey, Jim's mics needs to be louder. I don't.
No, I wouldn't put anything like that.
Gotcha.
I'm talking about content I want the audience to see, but I want to alert you to also share it with the panel.
Like content you want them to speak about, you mean?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, sorry. I see content C, and I'm not sure what you mean, but yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
So
either way is fine, I guess. I was wanted to deep dive on that a little bit, just to say, obviously, if you post anything in the audience chat, the audience will see that.
So Greta, maybe our best bet is to either have Teams up so you can ping me or to text me or something if you've got very specific things like that that are happening. and I said it to you and I'll say it again. I just want to be cognizant of the fact that they might not be looking at that private chat thing. Yeah, it may pop up and they may just dismiss it because they're engrossed in conversation. And some people, frankly, are better at multitasking those things coming at them than others. So I think I want to use that sporadically. And Josh, you do this all the time. So if it sounds like somebody's mic is too low, I'm assuming I'm not going to have to say that. My only concern is making sure that we
right.
stay on
Obviously,
schedule more than anything.
Exactly. That's the part that we're trying to obviously monitor and pay attention to. Yeah, I think that's right, Corey. I think that's exactly right. You don't want to necessarily overuse it because then people will just start ignoring it. The private chat is what I mean.
And these things that are that you're cutting and pasting from the audience chat to the right hand side there, all of our speakers and panelists can see that as well, right? So that's the piece where they decide whether, if the moderator decides or one of the speakers decide to pick up on it and include it in the conversation, or to ignore it, or to whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So sometimes we post the questions just in the private chat, and that works for people. With something like this, with a lot of people, that's why I like to use that other chat field, just to have two separate things. So if you have something that's super urgent, you could send it to me in the private chat, and I could put it in the normal chat, the side chat. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I got you. And I just I don't see that happening. I really don't. I think that we've got a tight program, and I feel really good about it. I just want to make sure that we had a way figured out to communicate amongst ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, Greta, that's a good thing to know too, is you're putting this in there, and we'll know pretty quickly, right? If I'm backstage and you put something in, like even if you just say, on behalf of the planning committee, welcome to the event or something, and I see that and I see that it's from you, then I'll know, when those things are happening, and you want to text me and say, hey, I just put that link in there. Make sure, Joe mentions this. Okay. Then I can try my best to, to private chat and draw their attention to it.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm almost positive it has, because you have to put a name in to join the chat. So I'm I just can't think of the interface off the top of my head, but yeah, I'm almost positive that your name is associated with your comment.
Josh, I've got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So I was not aware that the sprint participants weren't getting on the restream, that they were getting on Zoom. So when I sent out the details for each session, I included them with the restream link. So Andy just sent an email clarifying that they were not getting on the restream, that they were going by Zoom. So I'll send out a correction email to make sure that they all understand that they use the Zoom link that was provided and to ignore what I sent. Is that correct?
Okay. That is correct. Yeah, I know. Sorry, it's a little confusing, but yeah, that's correct. So Nabil and Andy have put together that Zoom call. We're piping that in so that everyone in the live stream can see that, and then we're overlaying Devin on top of that so he can play John Madden and talk over it. So.
Okay.
So, Susan, Katie, you guys have any other thoughts or questions or suggestions? I know you're sitting as part of this and maybe aren't as in the weeds with some of these details as Greta and I have been. So if you've got any observations, I'm all ears.
The only thing I could think of is, Greta, I know you've already sent emails out to the speakers and panelists and stuff, but I think just a reminder that the private chat is there. And I don't know if someone just straight up on the call could just bring attention to it, because it does sound like it's going to be useful. And Corey, I think you're exactly right that some people are not even going to look into it. But I think maybe just a quick reminder that that's there, and if they need to communicate with other panelists and stuff, that's there for them to use.
And I will say the nice part is, so when someone comes into the call, right, they're in the backstage. I'll see them come in, and then I'll send them a message in private chat, hi Mary, welcome. So that right away gets them used to there's a chat field, and by the same token, you're right, when someone's presenting and they're involved in what they're speaking about, they might not necessarily see that private chat, and that's true in any platform. But I would say we have the majority of people find that right away and are able to communicate using that.
Try clicking M, Corey. No. Her mouse is stuck. She can't unmute.
Actually, I don't see that you're muted. It looks like maybe your audio device is maybe it chose a different microphone or something. That's weird. It was just working. I don't know if did something get maybe like slightly unplugged or something. Maybe if you check.
Oh, you froze. I wonder if it's a bandwidth issue.
Maybe. Well, I was just going to say, and maybe you might have already checked this, but if that gear icon, the settings icon, that's where you can choose what your mic input is and change that. So just a couple really quick things that I'll just talk about, and then you can that I just wanted to confirm with you. So we've got I'll create. I've got just a main slide. We like to have some kind of main slide to that we can have if we need to during transitions and stuff like that.
Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I have it's a laptop, so I've got a touchpad, not an actual mouse. So that shouldn't happen. But there is like storm stuff going through, so maybe it just was bad timing. But I've got a touch screen on this. So I was like, I wonder if I just start touching it if it worked, and that worked. So good to know for tomorrow, just in case.
There you go.
Sorry, guys.
Thanks for the reminder that I have a touch screen.
Good times, good times. Yeah, it wouldn't even let me do Control Delete and like shut anything or like nothing. It was just the keyboard is just not responding. So, I usually have no issues like that. So we'll figure it out. But, yeah. So we'll try to keep using that private chat if we can, and if people are paying attention to it, great. Otherwise, I think the programming is really tight, Greta. I really do. I mean, with the slides and all the review and all of that stuff, anything that we add into that audience chat is just going to be bonus. And you and Katie, Susan, anybody, if you guys are watching that and consuming that, and we want to do things like remember to check out our awesome resources in the exhibitor tab and stuff like that. So I think if we're all watching each other do that, there's a balance there. We don't want to drive people crazy, but at the same time, we want to make sure we've messaged it appropriately.
Very cool.
So I don't have anything else. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I just had a couple things just to confirm real quick with you. So like I was saying, we just have like a main graphic that I'll put up at the beginning, or if there's spots where we just need something to go to in a sense.
Okay.
So I still need to just create just a break slide that just says, we're now on break, whatever. Mostly just for, I'll make one for all of them that also has the sponsor logo on it. Obviously, Galero is the only one I don't actually have any content for, right? So we've got cross comms. I've got the two, the genome and the vital float video. But Galero, they'll just be their logo on the slide, I mean, you can certainly do things like that.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
But
Do
I
you
want to
want to
make
put
it.
how long it is,
What's that?
or when it ends, so they know when to be back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I was
program
gonna.
resumes it or something.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. I was going to put that info on the slide. So then, so I'll cut to that slide first, and then for the two that have videos, we'll do that. For the one, we'll cut to that break slide, then we'll, like for cross comms, I'd show that slide, then we'd show this one, and then kind of flip back and forth during the break.
So, Josh, when we're showing those videos, including the vignettes, this screen that we're looking at now, where we've got this bottom bar that says hosted by NCBiotech and Fast Tracks, is that how that will appear to the audience with a video in a smaller window?
No. So I've got, so that's a background. I can take those away. We can do that. That's just for when people are live on there. All the videos themselves will play over full screen. So like
Full screen.
this is an 8-second just little introduction thing. I'll probably play this when we come back from breaks, just as
Transit. Oh,
So,
perfect.
quick question. So, when the session is up, where's the sponsor logo?
Great. That was the next thing I was going to show you. So
I knew that.
yeah. So I have overlays, and I haven't made all of them, but this is basically what it would look like. So they'll all be that same format in that bottom right corner.
Okay.
And we'll choose these between these three backgrounds just based on the layout of people and everything. And this is an overlay, so obviously if the person's full screen, it'll still be on the screen.
That's cool. I like that.
And I do have these logos here, which I can put up if we do have someone full screen. I don't know how you feel about that, or if you want me to just make one that's combined. It's on the upper right.
What do you think, Corey? Or is it too much if they're side by side?
I like the banner at the bottom that we were using that said NCBiotech,
Yeah.
and I liked that consistency, and it broke up the color. So I
Yeah.
really like that.
Cool. That's what I figured for
Yep.
most of it, especially
Yeah,
if
I
we've
like
got
that.
for any panels, it'll look like this. But obviously, and even when someone is solo, I can make them. Okay, Katie, I'm going to pick on you here. So let's say she's the presenter. She can be full screen, or I can actually inset her a little bit too. So we kind of have those two options, if that makes sense.
I like that because it's branded throughout.
Yeah. So I generally try to dump to that. So we might go to someone full screen for a second, and then do that. But that way you get some of the brand, you get the background, you get some of the branding there.
Yeah, no, I like that. And then the other question was, so the sponsor logos is great. The other question I had was, is it titled somewhere? So like when Dr. Cohn is speaking, does it say keynote? Or when session 1 is up, does it say micro sprint? Are any of the titles of that included?
I mean, that's the content question. You know what I mean? That's typically, typically you would make a PowerPoint deck, and I can't make one. I can't make a deck with all the titles and everything. I don't have time.
So when it goes from like Doug speaking to Billy Cohn, it will say like sponsored by, like you've got here, we can leave this as up as is and then just have Dr. Cohn start talking.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. Maybe I don't understand the question. So like here, let me show you.
do you just need 6 slides, 1 for each session title?
I mean, that would be great. Yeah. I mean,
because I could do those really quick this
just
afternoon.
just like any other show, just having some kind of, you know, placeholder slides would be great.
Is there a certain font? Do I need to worry about a background color or anything?
I mean, it can just be a PowerPoint. So however you want to make the PowerPoint.
But do I have to do a certain background color or use a certain font?
So they'll be full screen. I mean, if you use a funky font, then maybe send the font to me with the PowerPoint deck. But I mean, those. So you've seen the background colors. So we're trying to stay in those.
Would this be used in between sessions, like after the vignette? In between?
Then the title slide for the session would come up.
Okay.
So if you have just a like a template slide that you can send me with a font and a background color, I can do those 6 real quick.
So
this afternoon.
hang on a second. So stop for a second, because Josh, what I was saying is that when you've got right now, we've got we're missing. Yeah. Okay. So when we're like this, okay, when we're like this at the top of the screen, what I was saying is something simple like welcome when Doug is speaking. So could that be an overlay? Is what my brain was going to. So it says welcome,
Gotcha.
and then when Greta and I are, when our video is playing, and then when Doug is talking, it says welcome, and then when the keynote comes on, it says keynote. And then when the first session comes on, it says micro sprint, whatever. Can we get you that language, or does that have to be a slide too?
No. So I have what are called captions, and that's what I would typically use for lower thirds. What we'll be using for lower thirds. So it would say like, so when, sorry, bear with me. Let me show you real quick. So like, Corey, let's say you're introducing Greta. So I would play your lower third, which has you in your title, and then you would introduce, that would go away. You would introduce Greta. You'd be both side by side. Greta's the keynote, and then I would take you away, Corey, and then I would play her, Dr. Billy Cohn, keynote speaker, or I'll use his titles from the site. Does that make sense? I can't put anything across the top, animated wise.
Greta, what do you think? I like that better than having a slide in between. I don't want it to look like a PowerPoint. We spent all this, effort. I want it to look like a production. So if we could slide in that stuff, that'd be cool.
So
it's more of like a title for the section. Some people do it, some people don't. So it doesn't matter to me. I think it'll look great either way. But
I kind of so I think I have a delay. Sorry if I'm like talking over people. So at the beginning of each vignette, it's really clean. It's this background color, and the title is in a nice white font. So what we may want to do for consistency is have something similar, like a similar color background with a white title for the session that he could just briefly put up. Well, and then he brings in the people. He brings in the moderator who does the sponsor little snippet. And then one by one, he's going to bring in the people as they're introduced. And then at the end, we have the break thing, the thank you of the break person. And then we go to a vignette. So when you go to the vignette, you're going to see again that background with the nice white title. When that vignette's done, then we could do just that slide, similar color, background color with a white title, so that it just flows right. Do you know what I mean?
I think that would work great. Obviously, you don't need them for the keynotes or anything, but basically, it would be something to go to out of the vignette that would say the name of the session, right?
So people can follow along with where they are in the program was my thought. So
Yes.
that's why I was trying to figure out what the easiest solution, what's the simplest way, least amount of work to do that.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so I think I might be able to help with this. I have like a PowerPoint. It's not a deck. Like I didn't know that we needed something like this, but I do have a PowerPoint deck that has like our colors, the fonts we were using, the NCBiotech Fast Tracks logo. That if we just need like a slide that says session 1 : product developed or whatever it is. So I can put like if it's just the beginning, I can just go by the agenda. I can put something together this afternoon. Greta, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to our team just to make sure that's kind of what we're looking for. And if it's not, at least you'll have the colors and the font and you can edit it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
so
that's
I'll do
great.
that. Okay.
And can I ask this too, just because just to keep it consistent. I mean, so you got 6 slides, one for just a title slide for each session. And then if you want to put a break slide in there, just so it looks the same, instead of me making one and it looking different.
Yeah. Can I do like break and then maybe there's like just a call to action that's just like visit ncinnovates.org for, I don't know, more information or something, or I don't know, people will be doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah, well, they'll already be on the.
Oh, that's true, because it'll be embedded in the site. Okay.
But Katie, you know what we were doing, like Doug's remarks, that's one of the things that we asked him to kind of remind people of. Like I said, visit the exhibitor and sponsor tabs at the top of this page because they're already there.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. I'll just put break, and if y'all want to change it, then y'all have the PowerPoint deck.
Yeah, and I think we just want to make a different slide for each break, just so that says, it's break, join us back at 1:20 for session 2 or then.
Okay.
So on those break slides, though, I would think we should put the break sponsor logo.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to put, break, join us back for 1:20, and then have the logo of the sponsor. Especially, like I said, like we talked about for Gilero, because we don't have any other content for them. So.
Okay, I'll work on that and get something to you guys a little bit later. It's kind of like that 11th hour, but we'll get it done.
No, I think that's just a little finishing touch there that'll.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that makes it extraordinary instead of ordinary. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, Greta, unless you have something else, I feel really good about what we've got going on here.
Registration.
Yeah, that's a question. You know what? Why don't just me, you, Katie, and Susan jump on? I'll call you guys like on a Teams meeting, and we can let Josh go.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
But Josh, while we have you, if I have any extraneous like stragglers, 2, 3, 5 people that need to be registered, can we just pop those email addresses into the Teams thing and say, hey, register these people, and then they'll get that email?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
perfect.
As a heads up, Cecilia sent a note while we were on this asking about the block for Atrium. And I said, send us the spreadsheet ASAP.
Unbelievable. Talk about the 11th hour. We've been asking them 1,000 times.
Josh, quick question. The size for these slides, you just need like a typical PowerPoint size, or
make sure it's 16:9.
Okay.
Not 4:3, but yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
And then like I said with Greta, if there is a font that you're using that's maybe a little odd, maybe include that. But
Katie, I can send you a link to one of the videos if you want to look and see what the beginning, like what the font looks like.
That sounds good.
For that.
I'll try to match it.
Okay.
That works.
Greta, so you already touched base with Andy, right?
I'm going to send him a note as soon as we get off.
Okay. He sent me an email just while we were on this. Okay. I'll let you touch base with him, but.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing's changed because I did a rehearsal too with them too, so nothing's changed from our rehearsal.
And thank you, Josh.
Are you going to drink when you're done with us, Josh?
I was going to say thank you. You've been a saint. You have absolutely been a saint. This is one of the biggest projects with so many different opinions weighing in, and it's been a challenge for us for sure. So thank you, and to everyone on your team.
Yeah. Well, like I said, obviously we'll do everything we can tomorrow to just make it as smooth and as awesome as possible.
Good deal.
All right. Well, I'm around. So if you guys need anything, just send me. I'll keep that Teams open if we got some last minute registrants. But,
thank you.
Okay.
Otherwise, I will see you all in the morning.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.